Good afternoon. I'm here today for another conversation with Rach, and I'm with Rhiannon Mouritz. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And Rhiannon's got the Remedy Physio and Pilates studio, which is in Narrogin. And more recently, she opened another one in Coolin. So she now has two locations. And the Remedy Physio and Pilates was our winner of the Nationals Team Engagement and Workplace Culture Award at the recent Wheatbelt Business Excellence Awards, which is an incredible achievement. And that was a new category for this awards, actually. And given the economic environment and all the issues around staff retention and trying to attract staff and whatnot, we thought it was quite a timely one to put in, because being able to build a team and keep key staff especially is something that really I think puts those businesses that are able to do it sort of a step ahead of everyone else. So I'd like to congratulate you on that. And yeah, so what sort of winning an award like that, what does that mean for your business, Rhiannon?
I think it was definitely the most beneficial award for us to win, because obviously we recruit skilled staff, so either Pilates instructors or physiotherapists. And not being in the city where there's universities readily available and lots of physio students around, it does make it challenging. And at the same time, it's the most difficult time for recruitment in the physio and health industry in the past decade. So that plus living rurally definitely makes it a challenge. So to be able to advertise and showcase to potential team members that we have a workplace where we are, we're cultivating a really good culture, we're supportive to our team, and that team is a high priority, is a really, really valuable thing for us.
Yeah, and that gets a recognition of that means that it gives it that legitimacy as well, that you're not actually just saying it, you've proven it. So so how do you attract, I've got a million and one questions I want to ask around this, but like firstly, maybe having a business with professional employees in a place like Narrogin and then Coolin, how do you attract people out there? And I mean, we are so lucky to have. I do Pilates once a week, and I can tell you it is the most fantastic thing I think I have ever done in my life. So the regional areas are really lucky to have you providing that service out there, for one. So how do you sort of go about attracting them and getting them to Narrogin and Coolin?
Well, the general rule is that we're always hiring, so we have to always be prepared to take an opportunity if someone is willing to be, I guess, within our team or move to our community. And there's a lot of things that I've learnt along the way. I have a great support network of other clinic owners that have been really useful in sharing different tips and tricks. The main things that we have introduced have been essentially making a connection with new graduates in the unis. So this year we just finished up having 3 fourth-year physiotherapy graduates come and work with us for a 2-week period as an assistant. So this is a paid role where essentially they are shadowing me. They may do treatment notes, they'll help out doing different things, and they have the opportunity to treat clients as well. And the idea behind that is to give them a little bit more experience. A lot of physiotherapy graduates have quite poor pracs and experience at the moment because of the limitations of the last 2 years. So for us to be able to say, hey, come and spend some time in our clinic, see what a day-to-day looks like, real life, not via telehealth, and experience what it's like to work rurally. It's just bridging that gap between graduating in the city and actually going to a rural town. On top of that, I'm very privileged that the rest of our team really love having them around, and they'll go out and they're playing mixed netball on the Monday night. I think the other week they all went to corporate bowls together. going out to the farm and being able to experience what it's like going out on a farm. We went yabby fishing, all those sorts of things. Although that did spark a big conversation as to whether it's a yabby, juggy, marron,
or
kunak. That's another conversation.
We could have a whole one on that.
There was very intense conversations around that. So I guess just bringing them into country life and saying, like, this is how we live, this is what it is. And not only that, but just letting them experience how amazing it is to treat clients in a smaller community. And, you're having conversations with your clients where you've got several different connections with them, and you're talking about the netball game on the weekend because you played against their sister or something else that happened. And I think that is a big part of it. They just go like, wow, this is, you become so involved in the community, and then they'll see that client at the shops later on, and they see the impact that you have on their life in such a closeness. So that is a big part of it, is to try and just get people out to the country so they can experience what it's like.
Yeah, definitely. And fall in love with it.
Yeah, and bridge that gap. So that is our main strategy. There's other things on top of that. Like, we offer obviously significantly higher salaries than what they do in the city. That is just something that we need to work into our business. It is what it is. Offering rentals, we help to organise the rentals that our team will be staying in, and try and do as much as we can to make things simpler. And then there's fantastic support from groups like Rural Health West, who will pay for a team member to have everything shipped down. They will pay for all of the costs of them moving. As rural physiotherapists, we can have courses paid for. We can go over east to go for courses. And we've got a really strong support network in that as well. So highlighting a lot of these things, you're not just going to the middle of nowhere and working, but highlighting a lot of the benefits and highlighting and creating more support for people to come down and bridge that gap is really key.
That is bloody awesome, and it gives those working there as well so much more, I guess, more meaning and job satisfaction when they get to see and experience their clients in probably so many more aspects in different ways than what they would in the city. You just don't, in the city, you don't generally run into your clients on the sporting field or in the shops because the numbers sort of thing. So that is so good to hear. Yeah. So tell me a bit about so you've been in Narrogin for a while now, and you opened Coolin. When was that? Was that last year? When did you start the Coolin?
So we started consulting in Coolin earlier this year, so earlier in 2022. It was a way. The whole purpose, I guess, of the Remedy has really been that I want people in rural areas to have an outstanding health service. And being from the Eastern Wheatbelt myself, having the opportunity to come out to Coolin, which is a little bit further east, there's less services, those sorts of things, just meant that I could, I guess, fulfill that why in terms of why I set the business up. We were offered a great opportunity through the Coolin Shire where we currently rent a consulting room at the Freeband Recreation Centre. So we've got beautiful facilities, and we have a fantastic gym here as well that we utilise with our clients. Everything is really well looked after. If anyone knows much about the Coolin community, you know that they're very progressive, they're very committed to their town, and so we are very well supported here. So we haven't opened a clinic per se, but we're present here a couple of days a week, which is only something that's going to increase in the coming year. So that's really exciting.
Fantastic. So a fair bit of travel for you then?
A little bit. I live half an hour away from Narrogin as it is. So I saw that.
So whereabouts did you grow up?
So I originally grew up in Hyden. My family have a sheep and mixed grain farm, and my parents run an earth moving business as well. So my parents and my two older brothers are in Hyden now. And then I went to Perth, the standard, went to boarding school, finished boarding school, stayed in Perth, did uni, And I spent about 6 years of my career in Perth,
Yes.
working in private practice. And then I moved out, met my husband. Well, wasn't my husband then, but
Yep.
met him, moved out to the farm, and sort of, well, we had the conversations of, should we open a business, and what would this look like, and is this something that we think we could actually pull off? Both slightly a little bit too ambitious, but it seems to work out at the end of the day. So yeah, I shifted down. We started our renovations. We renovated our whole clinic in Narrogin together with the help of family, and then managed to open that in March of 2020. So there was a good, end of March, there was a good month there where I considered whether I'll be mowing lawns or cutting firewood, or it's a bit daunting when you quit your job,
right in the middle of it,
moved to the country, spent all your money on a business, and you were not allowed to open the doors. But it all worked out eventually.
Oh, that's fabulous. So what's your husband's involvement with your business, with you?
A gentle ear some days.
Yep. We all need them. We definitely all need those.
So my husband Wade essentially he's separate to the operations side of the business. He is on their family farm with 2 other brothers and his parents as well. So his time is tied up there, but definitely in the planning and the preparation phase and in the building and renovating phase, he was a very, very big part of it. And now working together, looking forward, and this would be a common thought pattern for many women in business, looking forward at starting a family and what options we have around that. Obviously, he is a very big involvement of that, because without his support, it is going to be really difficult for me to be able to juggle several things. And so I guess working together as a team, not only in my business, but also in the farming business, and having a lot of conversations about what that looks like is really important. So while he's not directly in the business, he's definitely a very big part of everything that happens.
That's dead right. No, that's fabulous. It's very exciting, and just I still, the fact that we can, I said it, but just the fact that out in the Wheatbelt and in these regional areas that people have access to those types of services just makes such a huge difference. So how do you how do you get the word out? What's part of your marketing strategy in building your clientele in both areas?
Yes, so social media has been a significant part of our marketing. It's something that I had quite a significant interest in probably for the last 2.5 years while I was in Perth. I was very privileged to be able to work quite closely to my boss in Perth, and to sort of learn a lot of what happens in running the business before I shifted. And so from the get-go, I wanted to be quite present on social media. It is a place where people spend most of their time, whether they would like to admit it or not. They spend a significant portion of their time. And I think there is just a lot on social media that is either harmful or just not pushing you in a very healthy direction. So I wanted to be present on social media in a way that was engaging for people, either put a smile on their face or they learnt something from it. And that has been our main, I guess, strategy. It is a challenge. It is something that seems quite simple to just throw up a few posts every day, but something that is very, very difficult, and something that we're continuously learning about as well. Sometimes you've got the support to do it, sometimes you don't, and you have to be the one that's putting things up, and it can be quite challenging. So however, at the end of the day, it is a free service. Instagram is free, TikTok is free, Facebook is free. And if you can connect with your audience, and if you can be really particular about what your audience is, then you can be in front of a lot of people every day. And sometimes that doesn't mean that you engage with every post, but it means that when you go out for coffee, you're having a conversation about our business because you saw a post that morning or something just popped up.
Bit of top of mind.
Exactly. And so that is a really important thing. I think a lot of businesses underestimate the power of social media just by being top of mind and being part of the conversation. And it is where people are spending their time. There is just a huge amount of opportunity with social media. And if it's something that you don't feel skilled at, then it's something that you should outsource. I was talking to a business owner from Gamelling just the other day. They outsource for $300 a week for all of their social media. Like,
for
money someone that might seem outrageous, but for me, I think, well, that's, 10 hours of paying someone. It's really not a huge amount of cost compared to the outcome that you get from it and how beneficial it is.
It's still cheaper than placing a one-off advert in a newspaper.
Absolutely.
Where only gets seen for one day, whereas that's a whole week's worth. It is. I think it's definitely an investment, and I think it does have good payback as well.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you. Although I am I say that, and I think I haven't put a post on my business page for quite some time. I keep intending to, but
outsource.
I know.
No, it is very useful. I think as well for a lot of business owners, it is a very scary thing. If you haven't grown up with social media, you just think, what the hell is this? And what am I meant to do? But it is something that, people really need to get themselves educated with, learn a lot about, and it can be very powerful. And even, you get down to the nitty-gritty of it and you realize just how closely we are tracked, but you can track everything on your social media.
Exactly.
You put an ad out in a newspaper, you can't actually see whether someone called up from that advertisement, but what you can track and the markers that you can see from your social media, you can tweak and change so many different things to really make it work for you. So it's a very, very powerful tool and definitely has been one of the biggest drivers in our marketing for sure.
Yeah, and I imagine for you as well, you're very involved with sport within your community. You've kind of got a bit of a targeted market there with all the different sports. And sport being such an important facet within our rural communities. I imagine with the footy club, and do you do much sponsorship, or how do you sort of engage with all the clubs?
Well, our physio, so our second physio, Scott, that's in Narrogin, he's involved within their local football club and plays for them. And he's a very community-minded person as well, which just goes a long way. Being active and involved in your community is worth a lot more than throwing a $500 sponsorship at someone once a year. We're very open to being involved with sponsorship of different clubs, but I think it's more about showing up and being around, being involved in those things yourself. This year was the first year that I was involved in netball in Narrogin. Football-wise, I actually travel out to Hyden throughout the winter and physio out for their football club. Just changing up my day-to-day. Extending the scope of my practice, I guess. And then involved in tennis. Scott's played a bit of cricket. Hasn't had a lot of time out on the pitch.
I guess right in the middle of harvest.
So I think involvement goes a really long way, which is hard because business owners are all busy. Everyone's busy doing things. But if you can be actively involved in different events and clubs within your area, that makes a significant difference.
And also, it's good for your own personal mental health as well to actually, I think giving and being involved in a community, as well as obviously the benefits you get from physical exercise. But I think it really does help with mental health for all of us as well.
Yes, definitely.
So have you got any sort of funny stories or anecdotes that you can think of that have happened since you've opened, other than being stuck with bloody COVID right at the beginning?
Well,
which is not really funny.
I think COVID's a blessing. COVID allowed me to stop, as it did for many people, allowed me to really stop before we got in the thick of it, which after sort of starting out the business, and it was a lot busier than I expected, yeah, it was a blessing that I had that time just at home wondering what I'm doing with my life. We were very well supported. I do feel there was a level of sympathy from the community that we had set up this business that we couldn't start. So everyone thought, I'm going to go in there and give it a go because the poor thing's built all of this and hasn't been able to open it. And I guess it's just been ongoing challenges. We're very lucky to be a physiotherapy clinic because that has helped us to juggle different things about when we are allowed to open and what we were allowed to do. That has been a blessing for us. We are very lucky that our team all took turns in getting COVID in the last
that was good of them.
years. So that's been very good rather than all hit at once.
Exactly.
But I guess it's just another one of those things that's in the back of your mind, and then now coming into a time where there's a predicted recession for 2023, there's, different things that you're thinking about, and you have to just be really smart and thoughtful about what you're doing and what you're planning, which has probably been the biggest lesson in business. But at the same time, some of the best businesses in the world have come out of significant hardships, like the global financial crisis in 2008. There was huge relevant businesses that are still running now that completely took over their area. And there's a big belief that a lot of resilience comes from those times of hardship. So I really do see COVID as a blessing and as a way for me to learn a lot of lessons in coming into business. And hopefully that means that eventually there's a few easy years ahead, but it's probably unlikely. But that's okay.
But it's not one thing, it's sort of another really, isn't it? But and you're dead right there, with recessions and things like that, they make you tend to look at your operations and cash flow and how you budget and all sorts of things and run a leaner operation and having a great team around you is just another fantastic asset that you have too. What's your go-to app? Like what app could you not live without?
Well, I don't know really. I'm a bit of a I'm a little bit anti-phone.
Wish I was.
Look, the app that I've probably spent most of my time on this year would be TikTok if we went and had a look at my phone. Purely from a, I don't know, it's fun watching interesting videos point of view. It is. In terms of an app that we actually utilize in the business, if I was on more of a professional stance, we utilize Slack quite significantly. This is professional communication basis. The different channels that we've got there are between our admin team, our Pilates team, our physio team. I can communicate information across to the team in a professional manner on a professional basis rather than text or Facebook Messenger and things like that. So that's a big one. And then the other one that we use a lot that I love is Asana. So this is a task-based app. And essentially we have all of our tasks set out in terms of what has to happen in each day or in each week or in each month. And it's very, like a lot of things now, zero is the same. It's very gamified. So you complete several tasks, tick off several tasks. You have a unicorn that goes across your page, just things like that. Like on Xero, when you get the big tick that you've completed your reconciliation.
I know,
So a lot of money is invested into gamifying these apps, which actually makes them much more enjoyable to use.
I hadn't heard that term, but it makes so much sense because it makes you feel so good.
Yeah, exactly. It's that little dopamine hit that everyone's looking for. So they're two apps that we use a lot in terms of like the running and the operations of the business.
And I've got one last question for you. And just as a tip for all our business owners out there that are watching or listening, what is one sort of exercise that they could do while they're sitting at their computers that will make all the difference to their day or their movement, or what's one sort of exercise they could do that would make a difference?
Get off your computer and go outside for 20 minutes.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll cut it down. I'll make it even easier. 10 minutes.
10
Just
minutes.
there is
yeah.
nothing that is that pressing that you can't leave and go outside. And take your shoes off when you're outside is even better. Yeah. Leave,
the
go
earth
and
between.
reset yourself, get some fresh air, get some sunlight into your body, feel the ground underneath your feet, and yeah, you might realize that everything isn't as bad as what it seems. But no, there's no magical cure or exercise or strategy or anything like that. Unfortunately, healthcare is actually quite boring and bland. It is doing the basics very well, but my number one tip is for people to get outside a bit more. Yeah.
Love it. Perfect. Thank you so much, Rhiannon. Really enjoyed having you. Great chat, and I wish you all the best with both the businesses and and everything going forward. So thank you again.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.